So we're back in Season 1 when the show wasn't very good. Not to be confused with Season 5 when the show wasn't very good. The quality of mercy reminds us where Londo started. Small-time nobody assigned to a job nobody else wanted. Right now, one of the big cheeses back home is chastising him for not using the opportunity to shore up relations with the other races. Networking! He's not out here looking for the best place to get a lap dance for the price of a cheeseburger.
I'll be in touch.
I'll be in touch. Touch this.
That's a little odd, even for Londo. But that plus the statue over there is actually a bit of foreshadowing. Right now, he's focused on making his overlords happy, so Londo grabs the first person outside his door, which happens to be Lennier. This episode should properly come after Babylon Squared, so Delenn is off dealing with Grey Council matters. But the official line is that she's dealing with matters on their homeworld. So instead, Londo tries buddying up with Lennier to inquire about his life. The problem is, he doesn't have one. Until 6 months ago, Lennier was pretty much cloistered, so unless Londo is interested in witty stories about the writings of theologians, Lennier is not going to have much to say. But Londo offers to show Lennier the true Babylon 5 to fill in his understanding of other species, though this will interfere in his recreational time of staring at a candle. In another plot, there's a guy named Carl Mueller who has just been found guilty of first-degree murder, with the sentence to be carried out the next morning, 10 a.m., so we can all sleep in first. In the third plot, we have Ivanova investigating an unauthorized clinic down below, and Dr. Franklin is actually the one running it.
You can start by removing your clothes.
Not without dinner and flowers.
I'll hold you to that. He's down here because MedLab isn't free. For those people who can't afford it, he has this place set up to help them out. However, he is using resources from MedLab, which is a problem, but one Ivanova is willing to ignore so long as she's kept in the loop. Then she starts taking off her jacket. Probably just to help, but I'm sure there's a fanfic somewhere where it goes much farther than that. Back in, I'm not sure what to call them, so we'll call Franklin's A plot, Psycho Killer B plot, and Londo and Lennier go to White Castle plot C. In plot B, Garibaldi is calling for spacing the guy, but the Ombudsman shoots that down. Not because throwing someone out an airlock is a hideous punishment, but because that punishment is only reserved for certain crimes, such as pissing off the judge. Garibaldi's incensed, though, because one of his own was killed by this guy, and it's obvious the two lurkers that he killed were just the latest in a long string of murders. But there's no proof, so this is just this one murder case. The sentence options are send him back to Earth, lock him up for life in B5's own holding cells, or death of personality. Unfortunately, there's only the last option, which requires Talia going into that guy's head.
Maybe while you're inside his head, you can poke around, see if this guy's killed before.
One of the unique things about Babylon 5 is that JMS was a pioneer in getting directly involved with the audience over the internet. This led to some conflict, of course. He once mixed it up with early internet folk hero Plain and Simple Cronin, but it also meant that he had his finger on the pulse of the audience. So to use this immediate example, he knew there was great interest in the legalities on the use of telepaths, so this scene fleshed out that info. The gist of it is that information gained from telepathy is inadmissible evidence. After all, not only would it be against the principle surrounding self-incrimination, but it's evidence that can only be verified by another telepath, and they all work for the same organization. Just remember every petty bureaucrat who has ever had a personal vendetta against someone, and it's obvious why that's a huge no-no. In the A plot, Franklin is investigating why the number of patients in his free clinic have dropped, and he's tracked it back to a quack healer named Laura Rosen. Oh, she doesn't demand money, she just puts out a donation box, and that raises a red flag for Franklin. Don't trust anybody who's just asking for donations. Except obviously me. After all, I've got a very honest face. I know I left it around here somewhere. Franklin looks over her alien device. She says that she doesn't understand most of the writing, but has figured out how to make it work. Franklin openly accuses her of being a con artist, but her daughter, Janice, rises to her mother's defense and shoos him out. In the B-plot, the Ombudsman sentences Mueller to death of personality, his memories to be wiped away, and the person he is ceasing to exist, allowing room for a new personality which will serve society to make up for his crimes. I covered this topic in greater detail with Passing Through Gethsemane's companion video, so I won't repeat myself here. Garibaldi is still steamed that the guy is getting off easy, although Franklin, who will have to set up the equipment, doesn't really approve of it. But it is the law, so he asks Garibaldi to help him with his problem, finding out more about Laura Rosen and what's up with that alien thingamadoodle, if I might be technical for a moment. Back in the C-plot, Londo has taken Lennier to an exotic dance club, which we've already established is a prime diplomatic hangout, so Londo is as good as his word. Though he does bamboozle Lennier into paying for the experience, and seems to want to liquor him up to facilitate the good time.
Alcohol? No, of course not. Here, drink up.
Because my people do not react well at all to alcohol. Even a small quantity causes psychotic impulses and violent homicidal rages.
Really, I pictured Minbari as such party animals. In the A-plot, Franklin meets up with Janice because Garibaldi's info was surprising. Turns out Laura really was a medical doctor, so how did she get wrapped up in this con? It confuses him. Janice explains that Laura was so committed to medicine that she went overboard.
She could never keep up with it all, so she started taking stims to stay up nights, working.
What a mistake. I'll never do anything that stupid. When someone died because of that, she lost her license. So without the means to practice medicine, she went out looking for some kind of alien healing technology, and luckily enough seems to have found it. Franklin doesn't buy that, because if it did work, why stay here on Babylon 5 with it, instead of bringing it back to Earth to redeem herself? Well, Janice isn't so sure that will work, and the last thing she wants is to see her mother feeling defeated in her final years, so she's tricking her into thinking they don't have the money for that trip yet. And speaking of deception, Londo's is bent back on him as he's forced to listen to Lennier's fascinating anecdotes that would manage to put even Argos Panoptes to sleep. What finally gets his attention is Lennier mentioning that he devoted years of his life to the study of probability, and Londo realizes he suddenly got his own personal Rain Man. They head off to go explore other cultures through poker, which is exactly what I told the Board of Education when they questioned my choice of field trips. Over in Plot B, Talia is getting ready to examine Mueller's mind before the death of personality is administered, to ensure they got all the crazy out of him by the time they're done. This is the crappiest part of the job. Telepaths readily burn out doing this kind of thing, so she's not exactly thrilled having to crawl through this guy's head. He's not especially cooperative either, and he laughs off the idea that resistance will go on his permanent record. When this is done, he'll be gone, so what does that matter? It's even less of a worry for him than swabbing the arm of the guy getting lethal injection. At least that guy could always get a last-minute pardon. He won't get one, though, and we quickly see that's a good thing, because when Talia goes into his mind, not only does she see that he's killed more, he's apparently attempting to be reclassified as a plague given his love of killing.
I have to keep adding voices until the choir is big enough to sing me into heaven when I die.
Well, sure, if you want to do it the easy way. She is so horrified by all this that she has to go tearing out of there. I think we better make sure we wipe this hard drive, overwrite it, and then wipe it again. These are memories we really don't want to get recovered. In less nefarious circles, Lennier is cleaning up at poker, despite the fact that he sucks terribly at keeping his mouth shut. Lana's going to need to figure out something to get an edge, so he decides to cheat. Remember that foreshadowing? Yep, those tentacle things are his sex tentacle penises, and he slips one out to manipulate the cards when no one is looking, meaning he is literally fucking with the deck. Back in the A-plot, Franklin is shocked to discover that medical results are showing the device really works. People are better after seeing Laura, and he can't explain it, even when he points his letter opener at it. The only thing that makes sense is that it transfers life energy from one person into another. And she explains, yeah, that's exactly what it's supposed to be doing. It was a device for capital punishment, and in some ways, it's kind of a new twist on death of personality. DOP ends the mental existence of the criminal and constructs a new person who will serve society. This machine takes life, but he uses that to heal the terminally ill so they can be productive members of society. But Laura has found a better use for it. Have it used at a low setting a little bit at a time, then it can draw on someone without killing them. At least not all at once. And she reveals that she's dying anyway. So why not spend the last years of her life giving them over to help other people get better? Another selfless individual. You know, Franklin really should introduce her to Lennier. I think those two would really hit it off.
Goodbye.
Listen, if you ever want to take a break, I'd love to buy you dinner sometime.
Dr. Feelgood makes another house call. But another date is about to be broken as Mueller escapes Garibaldi's custody while delivering him to MedLab, though Mueller's shot in the process. As he scampers off with one of the guards' guns, we check back in with Londo, who is still dicking with the cards. But a misplaced pitcher suddenly puts him in danger of ill-timed shrinkage, drawing the attention of one of the players who freaks out at the cheating, starting a fight, and even Lennier with his martial arts can't stop this many angry people. I think this calls for sharing insights on Minbari religious texts. Franklin hears what happened with Mueller and heads down to check on Laura, suspecting that's where he's gone. Sure enough, he's taken Janice as a hostage to make Laura heal him. But when she learns that he might go back on his word of letting her daughter go, she's like, "It is on, motherfucker!" and reverses the connection, drawing all of his life energy into herself. This cures her terminal disease while putting an end to Mueller. No word on whether he was sung up into heaven, but I think it's more likely he found himself floating downward instead.
I've taken a life in direct violation of my oath as a doctor.
Good thing they yanked my license. Ha! Suck it, Mueller, suck it. Meanwhile, there's another incident that needs resolving.
I'm still waiting for an explanation, gentlemen.
Yes, and I am prepared to give you one, Commander, as soon as the room stops spinning.
This station creates gravity by rotation. It never stops spinning.
Well, Lennier speaks up and takes responsibility for the whole thing, that in his ignorance of these matters, he triggered this catastrophe. And he does so because in Minbari culture, it's an honor to help another save face, one of the rare times when a Minbari will lie. So that just leaves the A-plot then. Laura got off, but the machine had to be turned over to Dr. Franklin for study and to ensure that nothing bad happened to it. And Janice asks to take Dr. Franklin up on his dinner invitation. Sounds like he's going to be doing a little life energy sharing of his own. The quality of Mercy gets a stamp of fine. An overall mundane episode is buoyed up by some fun moments with Londo and Lennier and the powerful atmospheric scene inside Mueller's head. But leaving that aside, it's just a by-the-numbers, rather mediocre drama. A problem especially exacerbated because its original broadcast had it sandwiched in between two far more remarkable episodes, that reminded you how good this show could get, which made the humdrum quality of Mercy all the more bland by comparison.
All hail the Overlord! All hail the Overlord!
Is it cold in here, or is it just me?